biology students. I am here to talk to you a little bit about blood type. So I mentioned blood type, I did a little mini lesson on it before, and now I want to talk a little bit more about the genetics behind it now that you have a genetics background. So, blood type, you have 4 blood types, A, B, AB, and O. And this is an example of what we call multiple alleles. Now, in most of the genetic examples we've looked at, there have only been 2 alleles. There's been a dominant allele and a recessive allele. This is a little different because remember, all an allele is one form of a gene. So this might be like, you know, you have a chromosome, there's a gene on here, and that is made up of a DNA sequence. And you know, the difference between a big B and the little b gene might be 1 letter in the DNA letter and the DNA code. So now we're saying that there are 3 possibilities of different versions of a gene. But since we don't have a third way of, I guess we could bold the letter B and do it that way. But we have a different system for blood type that we use for multiple alleles that I really like, which is using a superscript like this. So remember that even though there are 3 alleles in a population, each individual is still only going to have 2 of these because they're going to get 1 chromosome from their mom and 1 chromosome from their dad. And so nobody's really going to have 3 copies of a gene ever. They shouldn't. So that aside, let's talk a little bit about the 3 alleles that are in blood type. So you have this allele, you have this allele, and the 3rd allele we represent with a little I. Now, why do we represent that with a little I and these with capital I's? Well, because this is technically the recessive gene, and these are both dominant. So if you have one of these letters, you're going to show that phenotype. So, sorry, I can't find my belt this week, so I got to pull my pants up here. So those are our 3 genes. So for a person to have blood type A, they need at least 1 capital or dominant A. They might have gotten 2 of those, 1 from each parent, if both of the parents were type A blood or had an A allele. The other possibility is that they could have just 1, and they might have gotten a recessive allele from the other parent. For a person with people with blood type B, it's the same situation. They could have gotten 1 dominant allele from each parent, or only one of their parents had blood type B, and the other parent probably had O or at least carried a recessive allele. Now there's only one possibility or one explanation for AB blood, and that is to get an A from one parent and a B from the other parent. So this would never be possible if both of your parents were type O blood, for example. Even if both of your parents were type A blood, this shouldn't be possible. So this would be possible if both of your parents were AB, or if one parent was A and the other parent was B, etc. Okay? This would not even be possible, I should say this, maybe you can answer this. Would this be possible if one of the parents was type O blood? We'll come back and answer that later, but maybe you're thinking and you maybe have the answer now. So the only way to be type O blood is to have 2 lowercase i's, because any other letter is going to give you that other blood type. Okay? So, what does that look like on your blood cells? Okay, well, if you are type A blood, it means you have markers on your blood cells that we have labeled A. If you are type B blood, it means you have markers on your cell that we have labeled B. If you are AB, you have both. And so this is an example of what we call codominance. I've already said that this was an example. My kid keeps leaving all the lids off my markers, so none of them work. But today he finally put away his toys for the first time, so we're making progress. All right, my legs are cramping here. So this is why we call it multiple alleles. okay? But the reason we call it a codominant trait is because of this genotype, okay? Did I do that right? Yeah. Because, you know, normally one gene would dominate over the other, but here, since they're both showing up and both phenotypes are being expressed, then we call this codominant. There's some other non-Mendelian traits where the two will blend. That would give you like, you know, if there's something in between this, that would represent that. You know, for example, like if a black chicken and a white chicken reproduced and made a gray chicken, that would be an incomplete dominance. Whereas codominance would be if you have black and white speckled. And it, you know, a lot of that's variable. It kind of depends on how that trait is actually expressed, because sometimes gray is actually the presence of black and white hairs. So I don't want to get too much into that, but do know that this is a real life example of a codominant trait, and it's pretty cool. So what else? I think I'll stop there just so for once we have a kind of a short video, and if you have questions you can email me, but hope you enjoyed that.